Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to our virtual secondary open morning. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this morning. The format of the event will be that you'll hear from our two senior secondary leadership team, our head of secondary Elise Furr and our deputy head of secondary Ashley Fitzgibbons. They will talk you through the curriculum that's on offer in the secondary, the MYP, the IB diploma and the careers programme, and they will also talk you through the bilingual options and everything else that the school can offer from an educational perspective. We are going to record the event, so we will share the link with you afterwards, and there will be an opportunity to ask questions via the chat at the end. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Elise, who will start the presentation. Thank you. Elise, you're muted.
Okay, sorry, it just kept muting for some reason, apologies. So welcome to secondary school. We're very happy to welcome you today, and hopefully we'll be able to answer all your questions once we've completed the presentation. Merci d'être venu et bienvenue. Okay, if we can go to the first slide. So the Swiss International Scientific School was originally created by our founder, Omar Daniel, who actually arrived in Dubai over 10 years ago and who wanted to find for his children a bilingual education. And he really sort of struggled to find something that really incorporated the bilingualism and with a sort of Swiss vision of rigor and high expectations, and decided as an entrepreneur to set up his own school and create the Swiss International Scientific School, which does incorporate all of his vision and those bilingual values. He actually has 3 children in the school, and he's very approachable. He's actually very on hands. Founder, so he is based in the school, and he does contribute still to the Swiss vision and the bilingual vision of the school. If we can move to the next slide, thank you. Norbert Forster is our director, and he arrived in Dubai 3 years ago. He was the principal of one of the most prestigious schools in Geneva for over 18 years, so we were very lucky to have Norbert join us. He was appointed to take the bilingual vision to the next level, based on obviously his vast experience in Geneva of bilingual programs. So Norbert has come to the school and really kind of built on the bilingualism and expanded those bilingual pathways in the school, which we'll speak to you a little bit more about in the next few slides. Thank you. You may or may not be aware that Norbert will be retiring and sadly leaving us this year. And we're lucky and fortunate enough to have Ruth Burke, who will be joining us in August as our new director. Ruth will come from a variety of different outstanding schools where she's got over 15 years plus experience in Dubai, leading schools such as JES, GEMS and Deira International School. And her focus is very much on the sort of inspiring students and exceptional education and individual student success. And we're very much looking forward to her joining us. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to my colleague, Ms. Fitzgibbons, our Deputy of Pastoral, who will tell you a little bit more about the inclusive and diverse nature of our school.
Hi, good morning all. It's great to see so many of you here to meet us and hear about our school. So just looking at our nationalities, we do have 74 nationalities of students in the school at the moment, coming from various different backgrounds and various different language backgrounds as well. So you can see when you look at this, the main component of our students is made up from Europe when we look at it, but it is spread with students from all around the world. And we really do embrace the cultures of each of these students, their languages, and we do encourage them to share this with other students through subjects such as extended personal development and moral education throughout the school. And as you can see here as well, that there's around 60% of our new students are relocating from abroad. Okay, so if that's something that you're joining us today from a different country, you're very welcome, and please don't be afraid of relocating over to us, because it is something that we see often in our admissions process, and we do have frameworks and we have loads of people in place that can help you with that transition to a new country and also to a brand new school as well. So we can move to the so we have 4 core values of the school, which are really important to us at SISD. So obviously, number 1 is bilingualism. So it's really, really important to us that all of our students are able to embrace their bilingualism, and we do celebrate the different languages that they have. We've just recently had Mother Language Day, where our students, engaged with that. They were able to share introductions in their own language to their classmates, where their classmates were able to pick up on learning different languages. I myself am bilingual, being Irish, so I'm very a strong advocate of the bilingual program, as is Elise, who also speaks French and German in the secondary school. So it's very, very important to us as a community that we're constantly celebrating the bilingual nature of our students. We do also offer additional paid classes if we don't, during extended personal development, from an outside provider that do come in to do lessons in Italian. They do Russian, and depending on demand, they can facilitate helping our students to develop their languages in that. Our next one then is excellence. So our constant thing that we're looking at with our whole school community is we want to inspire excellence. We want our students to be constantly reaching for those high goals, not just academically, but also in everything that they do, whether it's sport, music, creativity with the arts, drama, if it's any of our after school activities, and we really do want to celebrate them. So if you take a look at our Instagram page, you'll see recently that we have a good few posts celebrating our students and their excellence, not just only in school, but outside of school as well. Something that Omar Daniel, our founder, was very passionate about and he's brought to the school is sustainability. So we do very much so try at the school to be as sustainable as possible. We have sustainable practices in place. We encourage students to think about this on a constant ongoing basis. We do that through Service as Action, which is embedded in the MYP curriculum. We currently have grade 9 students who are doing community projects, and a lot of them have actually tailored them towards the sustainability aspect that we are very strong advocates of in the school. So it's really important to us. Our grade 12 and 11 students are currently looking at developing a garden in their terrace area where they spend their breaks. So it's not just something that we encourage with the younger students, but it's the whole way through our program. And then our last one as well, togetherness. So as I've touched on already, that we do have people in place that can help you if you're relocating to the school, but we're very much so about a school community. We want to work with our students. We want to work with our parents. We want to work with outside providers. We want to make sure that everyone is working together in order to ensure that we have the best put in place for our students on their educational journey. So we really do encourage that. We work alongside the students. We do help them to lead. We have a student leadership team where they come and they speak to myself and Elise about initiatives they want to run. And they'll also speak to the Parent Forum Committee. Our Parent Forum Committee as well are absolutely amazing with new parents that are joining the school and reaching out to them and making sure that they feel part of our community. So it's something really important to us at SASD, celebrating our best values. So we can move to the next slide and Elise will take over.
Thanks, thank you, Ashley. So now I'm going to just explain a little bit about our secondary school and about the different programs. So if we can just have the next slide, thank you. So here's our secondary leadership team, obviously myself, head of secondary. We have Mr. Martin Keon, who's our deputy head of secondary school, and our academics, so the MYP CP coordinator. And then we have Ashley Fitzgibbons, who you've just met now, been speaking to about all the values of the school and how we support our students pastorally. Mr. Jungo, who's our IB diploma coordinator, and then Ms. Naima Gauthier, who is our college counsellor. And you'll hear a little bit more about all those different areas during this presentation now. Thank you. So you may ask some questions or maybe wondering what is it that's actually special about the IB programme and why follow an IB pathway as opposed to perhaps another curriculum such as the British curriculum or another American curriculum. The IB was actually founded, as it's mentioned, in 1968 in Geneva. It was actually founded by a group of teachers, so the curriculum was implemented and devised by teachers for teachers, which is quite unusual in many curriculums where it's teachers heavily involved. And it very much focuses on the sort of student inquiry process, learning process. So it's not the teaching of facts, it's not rote learning, it's very much about student-led learning, student inquiry, developing student thinking skills, critical thinking skills, and that's what our curriculum and our framework and assessment objectives are very much based on. So it's not teaching students what to think, it's very much teaching students how to think. And it's really a global assessment centre. So what's really special about the IB is that it's very versatile and very, you can move it from school to school. So in a world that's ever changing, as we know, this year has been that's been at the forefront more than ever. The IB is changeable. You can move it between schools as long as the school is an IB school. So those assessments, those results can be mobile and move. And as it says there, it's taught in over 4,500 schools worldwide. And it's really what I would say, having experience of many different curriculums, I would say it is really often referred to as the gold standard in education. And we'll find a little bit more about what that looks like so you can understand exactly what I mean by that. We can move to the next slide, please. So as I said, it's the MYP is very much a program, and you can see there on the circle that really focuses on the student and the inquiry-based learning. And if you're looking sort of transitioning from a primary education to an MYP education, MYP really does look to prepare students for the diploma program better than any other curriculum. So many schools will offer the British curriculum and then a diploma program at the end for grades 11 and 12. We have a IB continuum, so we do offer the MYP, which does prepare students very well for the diploma program because it does incorporate all of those approaches to learning, as it's mentioned there, and the way of teaching, the critical thinking, the concept-based learning, which is so prevalent in the diploma program. And we're one of the few schools, we're very proud of this, to offer the MYP certificate. So we're an e-assessment school. We're sort of one of 25% of schools worldwide that do offer that. So there are many schools that will offer MYP, but what you are looking to ask is, do they offer that quality assurance at the end where your child will receive an e-assessment qualification? And that's really important to us, that students receive that accolade at the end of grade 10 as a sort of the kind of end of their achievement in that grade. Having results that are not externally recognised or externally benchmarked, for us was not an option. We want to have our students benchmarked, externally recognised with that certificate at the end. And as I mentioned, we have the interdisciplinary feature, which is very important. The students are able to make links between subjects. They are able to identify different learning in unfamiliar context. And this year, we're very proud to offer in grades 9 and 10 the BTEC business option as well, as an extra layer to that programme. If we can have the next slide, please.
So I'm just going to explain a little bit about how our programs work from grade 6 up until grade 11 and grade 12. So you may or may not be aware that grade 6 to grade 10 is we're looking at our MYP curriculum, and we do have bilingual pathways. So you can see here on our slides that we're looking at all the ways up to grade 10 that we have the bilingual pathway with either French or German. And in a later slide, we'll show you the subjects that they are able to access in those subjects. So we also then have as well the Swiss Baccalaureate, where we can have that in conjunction with the IB MYP bilingual certificate as well. And then we have the IB MYP if it's the English plus, where they will take a language acquisition class, but they won't be doing their core subjects in the different languages. And then, as Elise explained there, once they get to grade 10, they will be sitting the e-assessment exams, which then help prepare them in order to go into either the IBDP program, the IPDC, the Diploma Courses program, or the IBCP program. So we're very much so a continuum school at SISD, and we do continue on with making sure that in grade 11 and grade 12 that students have access to the IB curriculum, whether it's with diploma program or whether it's with the career program courses that we are on offer. We can also, depending on students and their requirements and what they wish to study, we do also offer a bilingual DP program when a student expresses that to us. And then obviously after grade 11 and grade 12, Ms. Gauthier, Naima Gauthier, helps to guide the students on their higher education and their careers going forward once they've left our school. We also do make sure, as we said at the start, we're a very inclusive school. So we do also run the ASLAN program if that is something that a student does need access to. This would be our inclusive pathway to make sure that we are making curriculum accessible to all students. It is not separate. We do make sure that that is combined in with classes, but it would be a very tailor-made and very personalized learning approach for those students in our inclusive pathway. So that is something that we also offer. So if we could just move to the next, yeah. So then just looking at our school day, what does it actually look like at SISD? So for a secondary school, we have drop off between 7:45 and 8 a.m. Our students come in and they join us at 8. They go to homeroom and they meet with their homeroom teacher, who will go through any announcements with them in the morning. They'll take registration, check in with the students, and have those daily chats with the students. So our lessons then start at 8:15. It's broken up during the day with 2 different breaks. We have a morning break for 20 minutes, and then we have a lunchtime break for 45, and then our school day ends at 3:30 p.m. And then we do have outside of COVID, we have after school clubs and ASAs that we do run after school, and we do have a bus that leaves at 3:30, and we also have buses that leave after the ASAs. So transportation is there depending on whether your child wants to access the school after school clubs, or if they want to go home at 3:30. So just looking at, because I know this is something that we often get asked, what does it look like in terms of what is our child studying, and how many periods do they have? So we operate on a week A, week B basis. So that means that basically we look at these periods across 2 weeks, okay? So if we look at, let's say, a grade 8 student here, we can see that over a 2-week period, they are going to have 10 40-minute lessons in English, okay? So we will, that will be what will be on their timetable. They will then have, whether they're studying French or German, they will have 8 periods a week, or 8 periods over the 2 weeks in that. So just taking a look here, you can see then as well, once we move down to the arts and music and drama, as we move into the higher grades, so into grade 9 and 10, you will notice that there is a change in the allocation of periods. This is because at that stage, these subjects become option subjects. Okay, so for example, when we look at design, business, and PHE for grade 6, 7, and 8, they are going to be exposed to those subjects. But then when they go into grade 9 and grade 10, they're going to have a choice. And that's where our BTEC business program comes in. So the students will have access to that program alongside their MYP program. And obviously, as a school in the UAE, holding on to the UAE values is very, very important to us. And we do have Islamic studies, and Arabic is put in place for our students. And we do make sure that we celebrate the country's values through those subjects, and also through moral education as well, which is looking at students' development and their morals and civil awareness. So if we could just move to the perfect. So this is a question then that and another question that we often get asked is, what languages will my child study their subjects in? So you can see here with the English plus stream that all the subjects are taught in English besides their language acquisition class. So the students will choose their French or their German language, which one they want to acquire. And then our Arabic classes for each of the streams are taught in Arabic. However, then we go on and we look at the French stream, and you will notice that they will have language and literature instead of language acquisition. So they will be language and literature students, and they will have their French there. They will do their individuals and societies will be in French. Their integrated sciences will also be in French, with the remainder of their subjects then being studied through English. And then looking at our German stream, we have it very similar again. So they will have their language and literature will be in replacement of the language acquisition, where they will study language and literature in German. Then as well, if they are pursuing the Swiss bac route, they will also have lessons in language acquisition for French. That's the other option we offer. And then looking at individuals and societies, they have the exposure to that in German as well, along with music. So we have a music teacher that also teaches in German, but art would be in English. So these are the different languages that we offer the subjects in, and this is what we do expose the students to, depending on each of the streams that they would choose. So if we want, yeah. And then you'll see here then grade 8 to 10, we have it slightly different. Obviously the English stream is the same going through. They'll just have their language acquisition and their French or German, whatever they've chosen. And then you'll notice down here with the French stream, the difference is that we have in grade 8, science is in French, and then grade 9 to 10, it changes to be in English. Another question as well that you may be thinking of is, what is integrated sciences? So what integrated sciences means that it's all three sciences in one subject. So we don't separate in the MYP curriculum physics, chemistry and biology. They're not separated. They're all done as part of one subject. That's the same with individuals and societies. It's integrated individuals and societies. So they do look at history, geography and a small bit of economics as part of that subject. It's an integrated subject. And that's when our change comes in as well with individuals and societies. In grade 8, they're studying that in German, but then when they move into grade 9 and 10, they will be studying that in English.
Thanks, Ashley. So if we move on now to looking at our EAL pathway, we do offer an immersive pathway of EAL. So your child, if they are studying English as an additional language, so it's not their mother tongue, there are opportunities for them to be in a pathway that integrates into the first language pathway at the right time and once the student is able to access the learning at that level. So as it says there, it's for new students from non-English speaking environments. And what we do is we have those students in very small classes. So at the moment we have currently perhaps 4 or 5 students in a class that runs parallel to our Language A classes. So at any point, once we feel that the student is able to access the learning, then they have the level of English to be reintegrated into those classes. We can do that because it's running parallel at the same time. They would have 5 lessons a week of English language acquisition, and we focus our curriculum and our program on the CEFR, the Common European Framework. So students are looking to achieve and work through those objectives and those different levels. We also offer in-class support for those students. So the students may be in, for example, a science class, they may be in a design class, where they may need that additional support from a language acquisition teacher who would go in there and support them with their learning and understanding the English in those lessons. And we also have the option as well, depending on the level of the student and their individual needs, to take students and to do additional support sessions, English support sessions with them as well. So that would mean sort of not doing perhaps design or taking them away from another subject such as individuals and societies, which is very language heavy. And for us, that's really important that we emphasize this program and the importance of it because of the bilingual nature of our school. So we are aspiring to have that bilingual nature and have those students up to the required standard of English that they would need to access the MYP program at the end, and then obviously follow a diploma pathway as well. We could have the next slide, thank you. We also offer a work placement initiative at the end of grade 10. So some parents will be familiar that once your child has sat their examinations, there may be some time at the end of the year where they're finished and school has finished, exams are finished, but there's still that sort of month at the end of the year where they don't have anything to fill their days with. So we're very, very keen on making sure that our program continues right until the end of the year. And so therefore we do offer this work experience initiative. Unfortunately, with COVID, we were not able to continue with this last year, and it's probably looking likely that it won't go ahead this year. So in its place, we're offering sort of 2 to 3 weeks of taster sessions for our grade 10 students to be immersed into the sessions that they would have in grade 11. It's like a transition program. So we're actually tweaking it to incorporate now as well work placement and a transition program. But as I said, this year it may be difficult to implement the work placement, so we'll be just working with the transition program from grade 10 into 11 with sessions happening in terms of university applications, but also taster sessions in the sciences, maths, so understanding what students need what students can expect to be learning in the diploma, and also sort of guidance on what they need to be preparing for over the summer. Thank you very much. In terms of what our e-assessment results were for this past year, you may not know, but each subject is graded out of 4 criterion of 8 marks. That adds up to a point score of 32, which is then converted to a grade of 7. So it mirrors the IB diploma grades as well of 1 to 7. So it's the same system in the MYP. Students are graded from 1 to 7 depending on their criterion marks and their points awarded. So we're very proud this year that we had one student who achieved the highest point score of 52 points out of 56 in 8 subjects, which was a great achievement. 65% of our students achieved above the world average, and we had a 96% pass rate. And of course, always close to our heart is our students achieving a bilingual certificate for having completed some of their subjects in French. So that would include the personal project, which is at the core of the MYP, where students have to produce a piece or some work that's their own, such as we've had students make a watch before. One student made a watch. Another student produced a car chassis because he was a racing fanatic. So it's a great opportunity for students to really excel in what they want to learn and what they want to do. As I said, we're very proud of those results. And if you need any more information on the assessment and how it's graded, we'll be happy to provide that at a later stage. Thank you very much. So just moving on towards what we can offer in our pathway in grades 11 and 12. So Ashley spoke a little bit about grade 10. So for those parents who are looking at our IB diploma and courses program, we do actually now offer for the first time this year the careers program as well. So as you can see there, it says the IB diploma or the IB careers pathway in grade 11. So the courses are very much, and if we move to the next slide, we can explain that a little bit. Yes, here we go. So in the diploma, we have 6 groups, and students choose a subject from each of those groups. They would choose typically 3 subjects at standard level and 3 subjects at higher level. Also, at the core of the program is the theory of knowledge. Some of you may be wondering what that actually means, theory of knowledge. It's essentially at its heart, it's a little bit mirroring a philosophy program. It's a great course because it really does get students to think about what they know, how they know it, and how they know it to be true. So it's questioning knowledge, how knowledge is constructed, sources of knowledge, and really digging deep into how do we know anything is true. And, you know, the students are really great at participating in that. We had many students go on to actually want to study philosophy after being kind of exposed to that course. And it really does impact on their other subjects and how they think and how they learn, and really develops their thinking skills for that higher level at university. And as it says there, they need to get a minimum of 24 points in all 6 subjects altogether. So each subject, as I said, is 7 points, and then they need a minimum of 24. And the TOK and extended essay together makes up for three additional points. And then we have the careers related pathway, which is a more bespoke program, and looks at sort of the kind of more business management and hospitality pathway if we have students who are wishing to pursue that pathway. We do have students who are pursuing those pathways now, and students who have been admitted to the École Hôtelière in Lausanne, so very excited about that. And then, of course, for our students who may, after the first couple of months, find the diploma program quite challenging, we do offer a courses program that kind of narrows those subjects down a little bit and makes it more accessible for some of our students who may not have that ability to do all of those academic subjects. If we can move to the next slide, thank you.
So just looking at our university recognition, so the IB students, as Elise touched on earlier, IB program is known as the gold standard really in education systems. So when we're looking at it there, we can see that in the US, IB graduates are 21.4% more likely to be admitted into those universities, which does just show that how valued the IB curriculum is worldwide. And then looking at France as well, the IB can be an advantage when we're looking at private universities and particularly business schools as well in France, which is where a lot of our students do like to aspire to pursuing business courses. We've seen a trend in that this year, where that's where a lot of them are looking to pursue education in, with hospitality as well. So if we just look at the next slide, you'll see where some of our students, these are our lovely grade 12s this year, our graduating class of 2021, who we're very, very proud of. And you can see that these are just some of the offers that they've received so far this year. So, you know, we have students going to, as Elise said, L'École des Hôteliers in Switzerland and pursuing hospitality management. We've recently had students accepted into Hult University, or Business University in both London and in Boston. And what's great for those two students that have been accepted into that those programs is they've both actually been offered scholarships as well. So we had a student who's been accepted to Hult Business in Boston yesterday, and he's actually been offered a scholarship alongside that, along with one of our other students who was offered a scholarship for Hult in London. So we do make sure, and Naima, who's our guidance, our university guidance counsellor at DP level, she just makes sure that our students are aware of all of the different pathways that are available to them, and not just the university, but also looking at, you know, how can we look at getting scholarships for the students as well, if that is possible. And if we just want to go to, yeah, so if you haven't had a chance to take a tour of our campus with our admissions team, I would really encourage you to do so, because our facilities, I must say, they're the best facilities that I've worked in any school. They're just really amazing. You can see here from the photos, our center photo there, you can see our tennis courts up on the rooftop of the sports building. We have a fully equipped weights and cardio gym. We have a full basketball size courts, climbing walls, an Olympic size swimming pool. We also have a smaller swimming pool over in the primary area, and our students do have access to these facilities. So when we look at our grade 11 and 12 students particularly, they love to use the gym in the morning. They come in at 7 a.m, they go into the gym and they do their workout at DP, and that is something that we do allow them to do. We also have a full pitch that you can see at the side of the top image, which is used an awful lot at break times, and also for after school activities. We do have staff members who are very involved with our students and getting them out there for fresh air. There is an initiative being run this year by some of our staff members of their own free will and time, where they go out and they've arranged soccer leagues with the boarding students, and then have brought on other students with them for a diploma program. So just touching back again on our core values of togetherness, you can really see that shining through there again, with them using our facilities and also making sure that the students are looked after as well after school time, and they have exposure to that. And we just, any of our facilities are available to our students, and you know, they really are excellent, and they do help the students with their training for various different things. And as well, just looking at here, you can see our auditorium, which is just spectacular. It's absolutely amazing. We put on performances here, COVID allowing. We had our talent show just before the winter break, and we were able to use our technology that we have to be able to live stream that to all of our classrooms in secondary. So you know, we're a very innovative school as much as we can be, so we do try to make sure that even with current circumstances, we're still able to those various different things. So we do have a full-size auditorium with sound and lighting and everything. We also have amazing music rooms where the students have access to various different instruments. So you can see here we do have our pianos and our drum kit, and you can see in the middle they have access to all these different wind instruments as well. We also have a drama room. So the drama room is separate to the auditorium. They can use both. So they do have a drama room that's set up as a whole mini stage for them for their drama classes, and they do use that during breaks and lunchtime as well to come in and practice. And that's the thing with the music rooms as well. The students are able to use those, you know, at their convenience during break and lunchtime if they want to go in and practice. So let's say they've chosen not to take music at DP level, but they're still a musician. They have access to these rooms and they can go and practice during that time. And then our artists. So
regarding, sorry,
Elise is going to talk about the art.
Sorry, just for the art department, we're very fortunate to have great teachers who really nurture and develop the talent of our students. So you can see there, have a glimpse into that a little bit, the talent there with our students. Currently in grade 8, we're partnershiping with Swiss Hotel with a competition for our grade 8 students. So very excited about that. And also our IB diploma students who are just about to finish their course, who'll be having their work also exhibited around the school. But as Ashley was mentioning, we very much encourage students to come and use the facilities at lunchtime or at break. We have very much an open door policy, so they're able to come and do extra art during that time. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we're not able to hold those exhibitions. But in the past, we have had different exhibitions in galleries of our students' work. So we very much want to get back to trying to do that, but at the moment it's a little bit tricky to invite parents in to see that. But you can just have a little look there and see some of the work that our students are producing. And then just on to the after school activities. As you can see, we've got a wide variety of activities, offering over 50 after school activities. You'll see the internal ones that we offer there, so the extra language clubs, reading club, sculpture, art, creative, poetry writing, and then also the sports teams. And then we do offer as well the external ASAs, which are paid additional payments for those more specific activities. And if you do want to have a look what's on offer, you can visit our website just to have a look at that and to see those. It's a bit tricky this year again with COVID because we're not able to offer all of the activities that we'd like to. We do have some external providers who are offering activities, but next year we're hoping to have those in place for September if that's permitted within the KHDA guidelines. And then we do have the boarding provision at SISD, and it's very proud of our boarding provision. We're still it's quite a young school, so we currently have around 30 boarders, and it's very much a kind of transition with the academic team and the pastoral team working very close together to make sure we have that sort of harmonious academic and home life. But if that's something that you're actually interested in, we'd be happy to take that offline and have discussions with our boarding team who can tell you a little bit more about that. But one option that's actually quite exciting is that as parents, we do understand that you may need to take time out and go away. So we do have the weekly sort of flexi boarding as an option from Sunday to Thursday as well for our non-boarding students, where there may be a time when parents do have to, when work takes them away, and they do need to have that as a backup, as an option. So as I said, if you're interested in that, we can talk to you about that a little bit more as well.
Okay, thank you, Ashley and Elise. Just before we close the presentation and move to the online chat for questions, I just wanted to let you know the application process and the admissions process if you wanted to apply. We are able to do school tours. We're doing them every weekday between 4 and 5 p.m. So if you haven't yet seen the campus, please do come. As Ashley said, it really is world class and certainly one of the best in the UAE. In terms of the application process, we are doing everything online at the moment. So our application form is online. We are doing online Zoom interviews for the DP program and for the MYP if students are interested. And also we are doing online emailed assessments that we would ask the students to complete. And then the offer process is all being managed online by our admissions team. Obviously you have our contact details there, you have our admissions contact details, but please do get in contact if you have any further questions. We'll now move to the online chat. If you have any questions you'd like to ask the team, please do complete the chat and we will talk through those questions now. Thank you.
Si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez aussi les poser en français.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Moi, j'avais une question. En fait, c'était concernant le grade 11. J'ai pas tout compris les matières qu'il y avait pour obtenir le IB.
Oui.
Et les matières qui étaient enseignées en français et celles qui étaient en anglais. En fait, grade 7, 8, 9, 10, il y avait un tableau où on a pu voir
Oui.
la liste.
C'est parce qu'en IB, ça dépend de la sélection des étudiants. Alors, il y a 6 groupes et pour chaque groupe, ça dépend de ce qu'ils veulent étudier.
En option? Ouais,
il y a histoire en français, il y a aussi extended essay qui peut faire en français. Et puis, les autres matières, c'est français A, c'est anglais, c'est business studies, les sciences, individus et société. Alors, ça dépendra de leur choix, mais je peux aussi vous envoyer des informations sur les matières dans chaque groupe si ça vous intéressera.
Oui, ça pourrait plus nous informer.
Pas de problème.
Oui.
Si vous pouvez juste laisser votre courriel là, ça m'aidera à être sûr de votre adresse.
D'accord, merci.
Merci.
Just to answer one of the questions that's come through on chat with regards to in the German class, do we have different levels in the English Plus curriculum? So as we mentioned, they be in a language acquisition class for German if they're in the English Plus stream, and that does have different levels and different phases involved in that. Elise, you might be able to give more information on the language acquisition in terms of German and the levels that will be in the class?
So it's very much, when we speak about levels, it's not really lots of levels in a class, it's more about phases and also about personalized learning. So every child will be in a different stage in their learning and the teacher will be skilled and adept at ensuring that the level is appropriate to them. So we do have also, we're very lucky to have teaching assistants, in those classes who also support with the different strategies and the different ways of learning and the different approaches. So it really just depends on each child and where they're at in their learning journey. But we do have support in terms of TAs in those classes.
just to answer another one in relation to Arabic, is there different levels? Yes, we have Arabic A and Arabic B. So you know, as a school in the UAE, we are used to students coming from abroad and never having spoken Arabic before. So that's not something to worry about. The students will be placed in the classes at the correct phase and correct place for them. So if they are at a beginners, that level is where your child will go. So we do cater for that.
So we just have another question about, what if my child is in 5th grade in Russia? Will he go to primary or secondary school? We can answer that one privately. We'd have to check that with our admissions team in terms of how that correlates to our grading here at SISD. So we'll have to get back to you on that with our admissions team. And then, is the bac recognised in dans les grandes écoles françaises? So yes, it depends which school it is. Obviously, it's recognised in all international schools, and you know, it's a globally recognised assessment centre, so it's very transferable. And I mean, it would depend again what course, where you're going, and the points that your child has. But as Ashley and I have both said, it really is the gold standard of education. So it's you know, it's similar to A levels, but it's a lot more rigorous. Students study 6 subjects in the international baccalaureate, so it's a much more diverse and in-depth, you know, and breadth of knowledge course as well.
So just to answer one of the questions that has come through there is, why is science integrated? And why do we, when do we teach them separately? So they are separate at diploma program level. So from grade 6 up until grade 10, they are integrated with all 3 together. We strongly believe that the students need to develop their knowledge of all 3 together first, to give them a good basis for going into diploma program level. And then at that stage, we will help guide them on which may be best for them in choosing in terms of their career path. The other reason for that as well is, you know, a child in grade 6 or grade 8 may not know what career path they want to choose at a later stage. So ensuring that they have that basis before going into diploma level, and that they can actually choose at that stage when they have more of an idea of the entry requirements for the university, etc. That's the option that we have chosen for our students here. So just to make that a bit clearer, for MYP, it's integrated with all 3 together. And then when students are more informed and they know better where their learning journey is going to take them in terms of 3rd level education, then they have the option to choose between chemistry, physics, biology. And we actually also offer ESS at diploma program level for the students to be able to choose between those. And then just another question is, can your child be enrolled in the school if she doesn't speak English at all? So Elise spoke about this earlier with our EAL program. It very much so is. I suppose bilingualism is our unique selling point as the school. And with that, one of the things that we do cater for very much so with our personalized learning, it is students who do come over to us and they don't have a basis of English. And that's where we would then look at our EAL program in terms of supporting that child. Mm-hmm. So in terms of looking at your child being enrolled at SISD and their English level, I would very much so encourage you to speak with our admissions team and go through that process. And then we will be able to look at where we can best place your child within the school.
If I could just add to that as well, with the bilingual program, it would depend if they're joining as well the bilingual program. Are they French speaking? We have many French speakers who join us who don't speak you know, a high level of English or have very little English, who we then support with our EAL program, so they can access the other subjects in French or in German, as it may be, and then we would support it with additional English. But as Ashley said, we very much encourage you to go through that admission process and have those sort of internal assessments, so we can have a look at where your child is and what their strengths are and their areas of development.
Thanks, Elise. And just looking at the next one, are Arabic and Islamic studies mandatory disciplines or are they optional? So Islamic studies is mandatory for those students who are registered as Muslim with the school. So if you are registering your child and they are of the Muslim faith, then Islamic studies is mandatory for them. If you are not following the Islamic faith, then you do not, your child will not be in those classes. Arabic is mandatory for all students up until grade 9. So this is a requirement across all UAE schools. It's not just SISD. It is a requirement. It's a government requirement that all students up until grade 9 must study Arabic. It's not part of the MYPE assessment. It's not an exam at that, but they do have to then, depending on their background, continuing it on into grade 10, 11 and 12, they will sit other exams in it then at that stage. But up until grade 9 for all students, regardless of nationality, in the UAE, it is compulsory that you must sit Arabic lessons.
And then we have one here. If the children have 3 main languages, but the mother tongue is another than English, German, is there a possibility to get mother tongue lessons from an external provider? And yes, we do have that option. And so we have certain languages that we offer. Again, it would depend on the language and whether our external provider is able to offer that language. But we do work with a company called Headway, and they do have many languages that they offer, and those sessions would take place as well during our extended development time for our students.
And just looking at another one that's come through here to me, in maths, do we have different levels? Well, maths is actually my subject, so I can speak from experience here that yes, we do. So in grade 6 and 7, we do keep the students in their homeroom in terms of mathematics, but we very much so approach mathematics in the school with a personalized learning approach. So we do make sure that all students are set tasks at different levels in class, depending on their ability. Then after grade 7, so grade 8, 9, 10 and so on, we do look at placing students in classes that will be at the correct phase and level for them in mathematics. So for grade 6 and 7, we do, as I said, we very much so focus on that personalized learning. We operate on a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star question basis in mathematics. So we give the students the option and we guide them obviously with that option as to what questioning they're looking at in the class. And then we do set different tasks for students at the different levels inside in those classes. And then when we look at grade 8, 9 and 10, we still do the 1-star, 2-star, 3-star questions, but I suppose it's a bit more tailored and a bit more personalized because we do change the classes at that stage, and we do place students into classes that will be for their best ability at that stage.
And then we have the preparation of MYP assessment begins in year 9. Yes, that's correct. So if a student comes in grade 10, is it a problem for preparation for MYP assessment? So really, we look at that on a case-by-case basis. We do have some students that have joined us in the past and have come from other MYP schools where they have followed the program, and it's been sort of very easy a transition for us. If they haven't studied the MYP before, it does make it a little bit more difficult because the content and the way of learning is a little bit different, and there is a transition period that students would need to follow to kind of ensure that they are best equipped to follow those pathways. So what we could offer is, and again, it's a case by case, some students adapt very quickly, some students find it more difficult because the content hasn't been studied before and they've missed that year because it is a 2-year program. So it really is a case by case, how adaptable and how well your child transitions, which is she's coming, oh, I see, from an IGCSE program. So we have had students that come from those programs before, and that's not an issue. But again, I would have to, it's a case by case, and we would have to look at your child. We'd have to look at how she would do in some external assessments, and look at her individually to decide before she did the assessment. But even if she didn't follow the e-assessment pathway, we do have the courses where students can do the personal project. So they would get a certificate for that, and a courses certificate for the individual subjects that they could opt for as well if it were too much of a transition for them to do it all. So there are different pathways, and we can speak to you individually about that. I don't know if there are any more questions. We've had some great questions. Thank you for taking the time to ask those. If there is anything else that you need to know on a more personal level, please just send your questions to our admissions team, and either Ashley or myself will be happy to get back to you, because we know that there are some very individual cases that are not easy to answer here with a general response. But we do look at each student individually and look at the best pathway for them, and how we can really make sure that we maximize their potential. So it's not a one size fits all. We need to speak to individually about those, and we're more than happy to do so. Okay, so I think if there are no more questions, that will be the end of our virtual tour. It was lovely to meet you all. And as I said, if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to forward those to our admissions team. Thank you, everyone, and bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.